What's that, Buckshot? Your phone? It's glitchy? You know what? What am I going to do about it? Maybe it's not your phone. Yeah? Maybe you're glitchy. Ever thought about that? Yes, I said it. Huh? Buckshot? What? Your phone? Also glitchy? What is going on? Let me check mine. It's glitchy too. What are we going to do? I don't know. Let's call the Apple Store. Boop, 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 boop. Hey, yeah. Oh, yes, I will hold. Ding, 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 ding. Hello? Oh, hey. Well, nice to meet you too, Aaron. Thank you. Well, yeah, here's the problem that I'm having. My phone, Wilson's phone, and Buckshot's phone are all glitchy. They're freaking out. They're not acting right. They're messed up, man. And we're wondering what's wrong and how we can fix it. Uh-huh. When have we turned them off? There's an off? I'll ask, man. Hey, Wilson. Yeah, when's the last time you turned your phone off and just let it reset? Okay, he's saying 2008. Wilson turned his off in 2008 and let it reset. Yeah, I know it's 12 years, but he's a busy guy. He talks to people. It's taped to his ear, so it's kind of. But yeah, I'll ask him. Hang on. Buckshot, when's the last time you turned off your phone and just let it reset? Okay, he's thinking. Hold on. Yeah, he said 2000 and never. You think that's the problem with all our phones? So what do? We just okay. So we're not used like when we're asleep or something. And then, all right, man, we'll give it a shot. We'll try that. Yeah, we'll try it right now. All right, thank you so much. Yep, really appreciate the time. Good luck with that. All right, see you. Thanks, Aaron. Beep, beep. All right, man, I called the Apple Store, and they said what we're going to have to do is literally just turn, you're going to laugh that he said this, but just turn our phones off, like totally off for 30 seconds. And reset them. I know, man. I'm nervous too. We'll just give it a try. Let's see if I can get this here. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, I think that fixed it. Buckshot. Man, popped right back on. All we had to do was just reset the thing. It's crazy. All right, you know what's a good idea? So say you're not sure the best way to use something, or something's not working right. Why not ask the person that made it how it's supposed to be used and how it's supposed to be taken care of, right? And it turns out a lot of times the person that made the thing has a good idea of what's going to keep it running in peak condition, the way it's supposed to run, the way it's meant to be, okay? So when it comes to us, man, sometimes our phones start acting a little glitchy and we just got to turn them off and let them reset or sync or reboot, whatever they got to do, right? Sometimes we get a little glitchy too. I don't know if you've ever noticed that in yourself. Man, everything is just driving you crazy. Maybe you've got some stress that's just running free in your life. Man, maybe you got so many practices and so many tests and so many everything else to keep up with. Maybe you got 50 million followers on TikTok and you just can't deal with all the stress, like whatever's going on in your life. Sometimes you just start getting a little glitchy, a little crazy around the edges. I noticed this when I was a singing waiter at the Macaroni Grill in Tulsa. Sometimes I would have people come in, grown adult men, and they would come in and sit down, and from right away, they would just be angry, man. Like something was going on in their life. They brought all this baggage in. Work wasn't going good. They were having relationships problems. And all we had to do was give them a loaf of bread, and they were just like babies. Like as soon as they got the bread, they're like, all better. And they're nice people again, right? They just needed something to kind of reset them. So how do we do that for ourselves other than food? Because that's not always the answer. Let me tell you, God, our Creator, from the very beginning of the book, shows us how rest is an important part of our functioning, of how we were made, of what we were made to be, right? So what did He do when He created the world? He worked for 6 days, and on the seventh, He rested. And man, He worked hard, and He did a lot of stuff. And He's God, so it's not like He was just too tired to go on, right? But He saw the value in resting and appreciating His work, and He instilled that onto us and said, man, you're going to work for 6 days, and then there's going to be this Sabbath day, and it's going to be holy, and on it, you're going to rest, and you're going to appreciate my creation, and you're going to spend time with me. And that's woven into the fabric of who we are and what creation is, right? That's part of the rhythm of life, that we work and we rest, okay? We see it again after creation a little later on. He's led His people up out of Egypt, right? And they're out in the wilderness, and they're trying to figure out, how are we going to take care of things? How are we going to feed all these people and stuff? And God provides for them manna. Okay, so we've got the bread from heaven coming down. And how is that distributed? Well, for 6 days, you go outside and you gather an omer of manna, right? Or on 5 days. And then on the 6th day, you go out and you get 2 omers. Can you believe it? 2 omers. So you gather twice as much manna, bake it, boil it, put it in a stew, mash it, fry it, whatever you're going to do with your manna, right? But on that 7th day, you don't gather any manna, you rest. And you take what you gathered twice as much on the 6th day, and you eat that, and you enjoy your family, and you rest, and you commune with God, and you reset, right? So it's not just a rhythm of creation thing here. This is God saying, you can trust me to provide for you. So 6 days you're going to gather. On the 7th day, you're going to be still, and I'm still going to feed you, right? On the 7th day, you're going to rest, and I'm going to take care of you, even though you're not working. So sometimes we never stop grinding, man. We're playing ball every day. We're working every day. We're constantly doing stuff. We're busy, whatever it is. And we never stop. And we think that's a good thing. We're like, yeah, I'm awesome, man. Like, 24/7 working, whatever. And it turns out that that's kind of our ego telling us, I'm going to do it all on my own. And I'm not going to trust God that He can provide for me. So we have Sabbath, we have rest, because it's how we were made. It's the rhythm of creation. It's also an act of faith on our part in trusting God that even when we rest, when we do this thing that He's given us, that He's told us to do, He will still provide for us and take care of us, okay? So we find that out. And then later on in Exodus, in chapter 31, He reveals another thing about the Sabbath day, about this rest, right? He says, it's a sign. Well, what is it a sign of? Well, we learn in Deuteronomy 5 that it's going to be that when you remember the way that you were delivered from Egypt, right, as you keep the Sabbath. So you're keeping the Sabbath and you're remembering that God saved you, that He rescued you, that there was this day for the people of Israel where they walked up to the Red Sea and the Egyptian army, the most powerful army in the world, was behind them with chariots and spears and stuff, and they didn't even have boats. They didn't know what was going to happen. And God delivered them in this incredible way, right? So we rest because it's the way we're created. It's the rhythm of life. We're resting because we're acknowledging that God provides for us and that we can trust him and have faith. That's part of why we rest and have a Sabbath. All right. And then we also rest and remember that God is the one who saved us. Okay. So we fast forward out of the origins of Sabbath and a little further on in the book, and we've got Jesus on the scene, who is the fulfillment of the law, right? So Jesus, this is a funny thing. Like all these signs that were written in the law and in the Old Testament covenants, they pointed to Christ. Here he is, man. And he's with his disciples, and he's got this thing where he keeps getting in trouble with the Pharisees for doing stuff on the Sabbath, and he is the Lord of the Sabbath, right? So him and his disciples are walking through a field, and they take some grain and they rub it between their fingers and they eat the grain. And, Pharisee shows up with a clipboard and he's like, well, technically you're harvesting and gathering and working on the Sabbath. And Jesus says, whoa, guys, listen, the Sabbath is made for man, right? Not man for the Sabbath. This is not something that is oppressive. This is a blessing. This is a command that God gave to his people to help them, right? And you guys are turning it into just another way to control people, just another religious stricture that you're putting on them. And besides that, the Son of Man is the Lord of the Sabbath. So he blows their mind with that one. And then the next day he says he's got this guy that he's about to heal, and he calls him out on this. And he's like, man, is it right or wrong to heal on the Sabbath? And they're like, oh, don't you do it. Don't you heal him. Don't you do it. We'll get you if you heal him. And he's saying, the Sabbath, we remember that God has set people free. So why would I not set this guy free, right? The Sabbath, is it not the best thing I could do to heal this man? So he heals the guy, and they're like, oh, you did it, man. You did it. And then later on, he does it again. He heals somebody else on the Sabbath. And that leaves us wondering, so are we supposed to keep this day or not keep? What do we do? What does it mean? And by the teaching of Jesus and by the words of Paul and others later, we understand that the rule part of Sabbath has been fulfilled in Jesus, right? The rule was the shadow, was the sign, was the forecast, and then Jesus was the real thing, the substance that came and fulfilled that. But that principle of the Sabbath still remains in us, right? We're created to work, and then have rest. And Jesus modeled that as he would go sometimes days just preaching and doing things and working like crazy, and then he would slip off into the wilderness to pray, or he would go up to a mountain to pray. And he showed us how to do that, right? And then Paul says, he answers it directly in Romans 14, where he says, some consider this day, here, I'll read the verse. How about that? He says, one person judges one day to be more important than another day. Someone else judges every day to be the same. Let each one be fully convinced. Whoever observes the day observes it for the honor of the Lord. Whoever eats, eats for the Lord, since he gives thanks to God. And whoever does not eat, it is for the Lord that he does not eat, and he gives thanks to God. For none of us lives for himself, and no one dies for himself. If we live for the Lord. If we die for the Lord. Therefore, whether we live or die, we belong to the Lord. So the rule, the command, the structure, do this or be punished kind of part of the Sabbath, well, that's been fulfilled in Christ. But that rhythm of creation that says work and rest and enjoy your Creator, that still exists, right? That need for us to understand that God is capable of providing for us and exercising the faith to let him do that by pausing at some points in our life, enjoying our family and doing the things that we're doing to recognize what God has done for us. We still need to do that. We still need to remember that he saved us. Amen. So in this time where we've got almost more than we can handle of rest for some of us that are used to being so busy, I just encourage you guys to make the most of it, to take a minute and reflect that Christ has saved you, to take a minute and reflect on the journey that he has led his people on, and to enjoy the rest that he's blessed you with.